a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, my guest today has been on the show a number of times before, speaking both about his artwork and his music. Now, today's going to talk about that other side of music, the one that is not so great. Please, everyone, welcome Pat Axe. Welcome back, Pat.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Now,
how are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Pat. I'm really looking forward to this one. Now, you've been a performer for many years, right?
Yes, I ventured into being a professional performer around 79, 80, around the time I started busking in 79. And yeah, it's been a challenge.
In what way?
Well, I mean, from what I gather from what my brothers have told me and people who are close to me, around the age of 17, I've been playing music since I was 14. And actually 13 in grade 7, I played trombone. And then guitar's always been my passion. I was a kid in the 60s.
Right.
So I witnessed the Beatles on Ed Sullivan Show and the Glenn Campbell Show. And I wanted to play banjo first because I really liked the Glenn Campbell Show and John Hartford. And then, as time progresses, I picked up guitar and supposedly from the age of 17, the things you don't realize about yourself that other people witness, and they have no reason why, because they're family or your closest friends. I was obsessed.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I was always that quiet kid, was not athletic. I was a skinny little kid, but, and I was quick. And also, the other thing to take in mind is I grew up in a family, French-Canadian family, and the 3 boys in my family were all left-handed. And I remember seeing people walk into a room when the 3 of us were at a table looking at my mom going, "Oh my, I feel sorry for you." Well, left-handed people are very different. We are. We think differently. We lean more towards the arts than the...
My younger sister is left-handed, so yeah.
Okay. My dad was left-handed as a kid, but he became right-handed. And because, Quebec City, all the schools are run by brothers and nuns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I grew up in Quebec too, so I know.
So what happened was I grew up in an area of, I grew up in a nice middle class working environment. And my best friend and I learned to play music together. He played drums, I play guitar. Mm-hmm. And what happens is just because you want to do it doesn't mean your brother or sister want to do it, or your best friend, even if you learn the same thing together. Mm-hmm. So him and my best friend and I, we're kind of joined at the hip. And what happened was when I became I took lessons. I took lessons from I had a place called Ring Music around 1976, 77. And I studied with a gentleman by the name of Eugene Martinick, who played with a band called Kensington Market. He produced a bunch of Bruce Colburn records. He played in Murray McLaughlin's backup band called the Silver Tractor Band. And I remember I took a break from lessons because, life gets in the way sometimes. And then I went back. And he said to me, frankly, like this when I was like 22 or something like that. And he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I still need to learn. I want to learn more music." He goes, "The best thing you could do," and this is what people 5, 6 years older than me kept telling me, "Get out there, just get out there." So Eugene said to me, "Just get out there, get on a stage, get into a band, get into a touring band or rock and roll band. Whether you're playing 3 chords a night, just learn the formats. Get the confidence." Well, at the same time, my best friend, who's an amazing drummer, he had all the chops. He ended up playing in a drum corps band later. But his his aspirations weren't the same as mine.
Right.
So we, and the thing is, I was like, I didn't like spending time in bars when I was in my early 20s. So we rehearse in his basement, and then on the weekends we take off to his cottage. We'd go to the Muskokas like every weekend. So I'd finish work on Friday, and then we'd hop in a car and take off, come back Sunday night. So whereas most people would go, hey, let's go and play, let's go to the jam. It's like, no, I didn't want to be in bars. And so a lot of people venture into back then, it was back around 78, 79. A lot of people of my age group and people who became professional musicians actually ventured into that world around the age of 21, 22. I held off till I was about 24. I was kind of like, but leery of it, and at 24, I weighed about 121 pounds and I looked like I was 18.
Right.
So there's that. So it's all about confidence and how you project yourself. And I always felt, oh, I don't know enough yet. I don't know enough yet. I don't know enough. And my friends are going, oh yeah, you do. So that was, so by the time I started playing pro regularly, it was around 1980, 81. And then the business kicks in. I was playing in a band and I did 6 nights. It was a reggae. It was a reggae. I was playing in a reggae band. We used to do we did like songs like Evil Ways and Don't Stop Believing by Journey and some George Benson. So I had the chops to play. And how I found that out years later was I talked to John, who was the drummer in the band. It was a band called Burning Desire. And I said, how did I get the gig? He goes, doesn't matter what key we're playing in or whatever. He goes, we couldn't stump you. So I knew music, and I knew music. I could read music.
Right.
But the pitfall was I went and did 6 nights. And at the end of 6 nights, they gave me $120. And I went, this is not cool. This is 1981 or something like that, early 81. And I said, this isn't cool. So I think I did another gig or so with them, and the money didn't get any better. So I left. I left the band because they were paying the bass player and rhythm guitar player more than me because they wanted. So, and I said, so you guys can fill your tank up and eat on my dime. And I'm living at my parents' place because I can't afford rent in an apartment by myself. So these are the pitfalls. These are some of the pitfalls. And then I'm also what is called an idiot magnet. Have you ever heard that term?
Yes.
I'm the guy, I could play in a 10-piece band. I'm the person the idiots approach or the management approaches. When something's going wrong, doesn't matter if I'm the leader of the band or if I'm trying to hide in the shadows. I'm the one they approach because they know I know music.
Right.
And so I realized at a very young age, I'm an idiot magnet. And it's not like I'm, I keep people at arm's length. Like people approach me, I step back. Because, I just don't want to get beaten up.
Yeah.
And I used to be really thin, I'm quick on my feet.
Right.
And I always know where the exit is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just wondering because, there was so much, or you hear so much about the drugs and the alcohol with the people who were in bands, especially the young people. Did you see that? Or were you caught up in any of that?
Well, I always stuck close to my family and my close friends. Okay. So they're kind of my BS meter. They'll tell me what's real. Because as a musician, you kind of like, after you do a couple of nights and everybody's like, oh, you're wonderful, you're wonderful. You start believing your own crap. Yeah. Yes, I got playing regularly around the age of 25. like really regularly, like 6 nights and stuff. And the booze was there. And I remember, I don't have a strong resistance, because I'm a lightweight. So I'd always hold off to about halfway through the night before I'd have one. But the more alcohol you drink, the more you want.
Right.
And so what happens is one night for the first couple months, you maybe limit yourself to 2 beers a night. Then you go, oh, then you start having the third. Then next thing you know, when you're not at work, you're having a couple beers during the day. And yeah, it's like any alcohol is the worst drug.
Right.
I mean, next to heroin.
Right.
But it's like that with everything. I smoke a bit of weed every now and again, but if you get used to smoking daily and regularly, you'll just keep smoking regularly and more often and more often. So yeah, you can get caught up in the lifestyle.
Right.
And what also happened to me in my early 30s was I'd been in the business for a while. By the time I was like 32, 33. But a lot of the musicians and friends of mine on the scene were like 5, 6, 7 years younger. So when I was 36, a lot of the associates and people I was playing in bands with were like 26 and 27. Well, they can go all night.
Yeah.
At 36, it's time to take a step back. And it doesn't dawn on you right away. It didn't dawn on me right away. And all of a sudden, I got sick. My nerves were shot, and then I disappeared for a month or so. And then I had friends of mine coming knocking on my door, because the longer you stay away, the easier it is to stay away.
Mm.
And I had people knocking on my door. Come on out and play. Come on out and play. And it's like, are you sure?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, the business and the combination of the business and not feeling like you're wanted and everything else can really wear on you.
Mm. I think about some of the young popular singers, whether they're pop or whatever they do, they have people wanting to, like sponsors, wanting them to give them free products, so they'll wear them or advertise them. So girls screaming over them, especially if they're young males, whatever. That must really get into your head, I would think.
I've always been, I've had fun. Let's leave it at that. I've had fun in my life, but I never wanted to really play the field. Me playing the field was just me looking for the right mate. I came from a family where my parents loved each other. They were in love with each other till the day my dad passed, and my mom never recovered from it.
Right.
And so I grew up in a very, and also when I was born in 55. So the generation I come from, a lot of people got married right out of high school. They got married by the time they're 21.
Yeah.
And I never ventured. I always wanted to fall in love and be in a relationship. I mean, I've sabotaged a few. I've gone running for the hills. I've disappeared. I've literally disappeared on people because I realized they liked me more than I did. Then I liked them.
Right.
Or I just felt constricted in it. Restricted, constricted, whichever term you want to use. And I'd never been a great one to explain myself for my actions. I just either do or don't.
Mm.
And I mean, I've left bands like that too. I've pissed a lot of people off because instead of saying I'm out of here, I just won't show up.
Okay.
Or I won't answer calls. When I've reached the point where I'm done, I'm done.
Right.
And that's the way it's been with relationships. And I mean, I was a good-looking young man. So I mean, I was chaste. I was very aware of it. And so yeah, you can get stuck in all those pitfalls. Yeah. But don't believe your own hype.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded? Right?
Yeah, stick with people who will tell you the truth. Yeah. It's like record companies. People get record deals, but they don't tell you, oh, you're going to be, it's like Pink Floyd. Come here, boy, have a cigar. You're going to go far, right? Record deals are glorified bank loans. You have to pay it back. You know, if you don't, if they give you a $250,000 record deal or $1 million deal, that's against your record sales.
Oh, okay.
You know, so there's a lot of people, there's a lot of musicians who, you know, they're flying in jets and going here and there. And, you know, it's not until their third album they actually start making money.
Okay.
So there's, you know, I got a record deal. Oh, you mean you got a loan?
Never heard that, you know. I mean, obviously I'm not in that business, so I wouldn't have known that, right? So this is good for young people to know. People who want to be, you know, have record deals and whatever, right? Think they're going to be just super rich right away, but that's not what happens. That's not reality, right?
And the other thing you know, the other thing that, you know, for every great bar you play, I mean, there was a space that probably around 98, 99, where I was playing in 4 bands at the same time. I had my own band. I was playing a couple of other bands, and I played on a record, Earnestly and Caught in Traffic. And Doug Johnson from Loverboy, the keyboard player, he was the one who produced the record. So one night I'm playing at the Fairview. Next week I'm playing at the Yale with them, but I'm also playing the Cobalt and the Balmoral, and then Richards on Richards with another band.
Wow.
You know, so I learned to keep my back to the wall at a very young age.
Right.
And I remember playing the Balmoral. And and then in this business, don't ever say never again, because as soon as you say that, you'll end up doing it again. And I remember playing the Balmoral, which is on Hastings. It's one of the lovely establishments on East Hastings. And Sahota was the owner. And yes, Sahota, the family that's, you know, notorious. And I remember playing there and going into the bathroom, and it was just, let's put it this way, there's no doors on the stalls. I mean, I could tell you the horror story that I actually had to talk about because I walked in the bathroom, and there was a guy sitting on one of the toilets with his pants down to his knees, passed out with a rig hanging out of his arm.
Oh gosh.
This is the kind of stuff you witness as a musician. This is stuff will never leave you.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've learned to live with it. But the only way I've learned to live with it is by talking about it, because otherwise you end up seeing it over and over and over and over again when you're sleeping. So these are the things you don't see. I also remember playing at the Balmoral one night, and we did a song, an old tune that Jimi Hendrix ended up covering was a song called Hey Joe.
Oh yes, I know that one.
So we did that one, and then without thinking, I launched into Jumpin' Jack Flash, which is probably one of the most aggressive guitar fill licks ever. So you play those two songs back to back, you're looking for trouble. And the room just exploded into a barroom brawl. I mean, I saw tables flying, I saw people flying. And I'll never play those songs back to back ever again.
It's hard to imagine that songs would have that effect, right?
Yeah. You got a lot of people in there, they're hammered, they're on drugs, and they're all pent up, and, you know, majority, and, you know, especially if you play a place like that on a Welfare Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah. These are the things I've witnessed. Or I remember one time I was out on the road, and we were on our way back from Bella Coola, and the brakes overheated in the van we were in. And so we pulled up, I think it was, I can't remember, it was in between Williams Lake and Alexis Creek somewhere, whatever, somewhere up around that way. And we pulled over and we looked, and there's a couple of residences around there. So we banged on the wrong door A, B, C, D, right? Well, we picked door, you know, B, bingo, wrong door, because the guy invited us in, right? And said, oh, you know, just as everybody's about to crash, right? He goes, oh, if you see a gun, don't touch it. They're loaded.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I've seen people I've seen people yanked out of bars. I've seen arrest warrants put on people. I've seen people stabbed. I've seen myself in clubs where colors walk in, you instantly stop playing.
Wow.
This is the stuff that nobody prepares the young kid going, oh, I'm going to be a musician.
Yeah. You never hear people talking about it ever.
No, nobody talks about this stuff.
No. So if you were to give advice to young people who want to be in a band, be performing on stage, what would you tell them?
Learn your craft.
Mm-hmm.
Learn it properly. Understand music. Understand that, there's certain rules in music. It's like a language.
Right.
Learn music. And, sharpen your sixth sense. Put your antennas up.
Yeah.
And it's like any business. And that's the thing. Most people don't realize music is a business.
Right.
It's like, your best people who you consider your best friends, if you're not working with them, there's no reason to be there. And that's one. And just because you grew up with somebody doesn't mean you have the same aspirations.
True.
I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah. True.
And I trust very few. I trust very few people. And people go, why? And it's like, well, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I've been screwed by a few people. And, and also people like to talk smack behind your back. I've walked into rooms and all of a sudden, people just shut it, like just clam right up.
Yeah.
Or somebody you worked with the week before, 2 weeks before, sees you and they walk the opposite way. They want to say hello. Somebody's talking crap about you when they just kind of skulk away from you.
Yeah.
These are the things that people don't talk about. This is human nature. And if somebody's talking smack about me, I'll approach them. I want it settled. They go, no, I wasn't talking about you. Yeah, I don't believe in convenience. Sorry, I don't believe in coincidences. They don't happen.
I don't, it's always, I say this like all the time. If somebody has an issue with me, tell me.
Yeah.
Right. Don't dismiss me or block me or have nothing to do with me or talk smack, like you said, talk smack about me. Come to me and tell me. Like, I don't understand that attitude,
Well, I used to work for the Royal Bank and there's something that's called a code of conduct.
Mm-hmm.
But, most people who are in the arts or you play in a band with, it's a real dichotomy of society. It's like you could play in a band with 4 other people. One person's from Jamaica, another person's from Czechoslovakia, another person's English. We've all had different upbringings. We all grew up in different places. It's like I was born and raised in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference, and if you're from Toronto, if somebody gives you grief, you'll give it right back to them. Yeah. Here, people in BC, people are a bit more apologetic.
Yeah.
So it's Vancouver turned from basically a small town to a big, fairly large city, and wanted to be on the world map overnight.
Right.
After Expo, it started growing. And then after the Olympics, it just went boom, it exploded. Everybody wanted a piece of Vancouver.
And it was also a popular place from people back east, young people wanting to be in BC, right?
Well, also what it is, people escape. People want to escape mom and dad.
Right.
So they hop in a car or they hitchhike out west and they get to Vancouver and you can't go any further. You hit the ocean. Where else are you going to go? You're not going to go back to Edmonton or Calgary. It gets too cold. Well, Winnipeg is, is cold, like super cold. So nobody's going to go out east because there's not a lot there. You know, it's like the Newfies say, there's no fish in the bay by. Like they've overfished.
Right.
So everybody comes out west and they hit the ocean. It's like, oh, can't go any further. Might as well stay here.
They don't all make it very well. Don't do great.
There's only so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you throw a piece of, you know, bread on the road and you see all these crows going at it. That's what the music scene's like in BC.
Okay.
You know, and other places that are more populated, that have been around and have been a big city for, you know, 150 years, 200 years, have a bit more of that nightlife and the restaurants and the spotlight happening. Whereas BC, you know, it's like, always evolving. You know, it used to be like in the 90s, there used to be a lot more places to play. Now, all the clubs are either changed owners, or instead of hiring bands 4 nights a week or 3 nights a week, they all have a jam session going on.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know, I don't need to prove myself. I mean, I'm a player and I know I can play. I can read music. I get on stage with some people and it's just like, you haven't done your homework. And God forbid you tell people this.
Yeah.
They go, well, what do you mean? I go, you're not very good. I mean, I was told this stuff. I was told this stuff in my 20s.
Right.
Learn your stuff.
Learn your stuff.
Learn your craft.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a bricklayer or a plasterer or a painter, you do a crappy job, you're fired on the spot.
Absolutely.
I used to run a printing press. I've painted thousands of houses. I know this.
Right. So, well, we're going to run out of time soon, but I just want to just have you say that again with emphasis to young people. Learn your craft, right?
Learn your craft.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, my biggest criticism when people are learning craft are tabs.
Or what?
Use tabs. What you'll see is in, you know, guitar magazines and stuff, they'll show you a tab and it's basically a diagram of the fretboard.
Okay.
Right. And that's fine, but it doesn't teach you timing.
Oh, right. Okay.
I mean, I learned to read music playing piano and guitar, where you need to read both bass clef and treble clef.
Right.
It's like middle C on guitar is the 3rd fret on the 5th string. Now you got the treble clef here, you got the bass clef here, and there's a ledger line between the two. That's middle C. That's the center of the piano.
Right. Okay.
That's you know, a lot of people who read tabs don't know this stuff. They go, middle C, where's that? Yeah. Middle C, in between bass clef and treble clef. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I learned to read music.
Yeah.
It's a language. At least have some kind of understanding of music and the rules.
Right.
You know, there's disciplines and there's rules in music, like any language.
Well, okay. Thanks again, Pat. Like I said, we're going to run out of time. So I just want to tell everybody, you've been listening to Pat Axe, and I'm sure he's willing to give you, if you send him a message, he's on Facebook. Send him a message and he can maybe give you some advice if you're a young person starting out, right, Pat? I'm sure you wouldn't mind doing that.
And I'll teach somebody if they're willing to learn.
There you go. So he said it, you heard him say it right there, people. So learn your craft. Know what you're getting into. That's another very important lesson for you. Know what you're getting into. Don't be looking at the world with your rose-colored glasses, because that doesn't exist. Anyway, thanks for watching the show, everybody. I hope you continue to do so. Take care and peace out. Oh, where's my heart? Here somewhere. Peace out.
Peace out. Thank you very much, Nancy.
Thanks.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.